Hello everyone, I am going to go over the Unit 2 review on here, which is addition and subtraction. So this video is to help you learn on how to work the problems on the review and the test. So I suggest you pull up your your Unit 2 review on your OMHS. If you go to your class and you just click on that Unit 2 review and pull that one up while watching this video so that you can actually pause each of the questions I go over them, and then you can also work on your unit 2 review question as I go over each of those problems. So it's up to you and how you're gonna do it. You can watch the unit 2 review all the way to the very end and take the unit 2 review, but I suggest you can work it side by side, like opening up another tab for the unit 2 review while I'm working on this review, so you can pause it and work it out as we go through. I also suggest open up a tab for your Decimal Scientific Calculator, so it's a lot easier to do that as you work on your math and just check your work. Alright, so let's start here with number 1. So evaluate when A is equal to 22, B is negative 11, and C is negative 4. So you have A plus B plus C. So we are just going to replace those variables with the value given in the information. So let's go ahead and put that one in. So I'm going to turn on the pen here so I can actually write on the board. So you have, for the A, you have 22, okay, plus, and for the B right here is negative 11, so I'm going to enclose it inside the parenthesis, plus your C here is negative 4, so again, I'm going to enclose that negative 4 with the parenthesis. So actually, you can just plug that one into your calculator. So you have 22 plus parenthesis negative 11 parenthesis plus negative 4. So actually it does the math for you, which is 7. Alright, so the answer for this is 7. So it's really easy if we have those tools and just use those tools online. Okay, for number 2, so Frank swam 1/5 of a mile before lunch and then swam another 7/15 of a mile after lunch. So how many miles, so how many miles did he swim? So we're just adding them up. So 1/5, okay, plus 7/15. So let's go ahead and put that in our decimals. So clear that one. So this is your fraction 1. Okay, make sure your cursor is right there below and then click on the next side, or you can just click that arrow right to position the cursor to the next space. So plus 7/15. So 7 over, oops, sorry, I forgot to hit that one first, and 7 over 15. Now it's giving you a decimal, so you just click that circle to convert into a fraction. So it's going to be 2/3. So it's really easy if we have those calculator in handy. All right. So the next one we have, what is the sum of m plus n, where m is negative 15.4 and n is 13.7. So again, we're just going to replace that m with the given value here. So our m here is negative 15.4, and then plus your n is 13.7. So go ahead and use your calculator. So just clear that one. So negative 15.4 plus 13.7. 13.7. So you're given the answer right there. Negative 1.7. Negative 1.7 is the answer. Okay, number 4. So at 6 a.m., the temperature was negative 10.5 degrees. So that's the information right there. And then by noon, the temperature dropped another 16 degrees. What is the temperature in the noontime? So if it dropped, so that would be another negative 16. So it'd be, hang for a second, right? I'm just gonna pause for a little bit. Alright, so if it dropped another 16, so that means that's negative 16. So we're just adding negative 10.5 plus negative 16. So if you're adding negative 16 to negative 10.5, that is actually negative 26.5. So you can check your calculator, Desmos calculator, plug those information in if it's correct or not. Alright, so if you can do it in your head, why not? But it doesn't hurt if you're going to use the Desmos calculator. Okay, so for number 2, LCD, we are looking for the LCD of 3/10 and 4/25, or 4 over 25. Least common denominator is also known as least common multiple. So we're going to look at the number down below. So we're going to list down their multiples, and we're looking at the smallest number that they have in common. So let's start with the 10. So we're going to list down starting from 10, and we're adding each time by 10. So 10 plus 10, the next number is 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So you can go on and list out how many numbers you can. I will just end up with probably 6 or 7 numbers as I added 10 each time. And then I'm going to list out the multiples for 25. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add the first 6 as I added 25 each time. So that would be 25 plus 50. 25 is 50, another 25 is 75, another 25 is 100, and 125, 150. So I'm looking at the smallest number they have in common. So I see that 50 is the smallest number they have in common. So the LCD here is 50. Okay, now let's move on to number 6. Which pair of fractions is equivalent to this pair, 2/5 and 3/7? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to look at the least common multiples for 5 and 7, or the least common denominator for 5 and 7. So I'm going to list out the multiples of 5. So 5, starting with 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and so on. So you can list out how many numbers you can, but I'll just end up on the 45. And then I'm going to list out 7, multiples of 7. So 7 plus 7 is 14. 7 plus 14 is 21. And then just keep on going. So you have 28 plus 7 is 35. 35 plus 7 is 42. And then you have 49, 56. All right. And then I'm looking at the smallest number they have in common. So I see that 35 is the smallest number they have in common. So now I'm going to take that 2/5 and 3/7, and I'm going to change it to their equivalent fraction. So that means that 5, I added 5 7 times to get to 35. So I'm going to change that to I'm going to multiply that 5 7, because I added 7 times. I added 5 7 times to get to that least common multiple, which is 35. So that means on the numerator of 5, I'm going to also add 2 7 times to make it equivalent fraction. So I'm just changing I'm not changing their value, I'm just changing the face of it, okay? It's still going to be the same value. 14 over 35 is still going to be the same value as 2/5. Now the 3/7, I'm going to multiply that 7 with the 5 because I'm adding 7 5 times to get to that multiple. So is the 3, I'm going to add 3 5 times. So 3 times 5 to get it to their equivalent fraction. So that would be 15 and 35. So now I have these equivalent fractions answers. So I have 1435 and 1535. So those are the pair of fraction that is equivalent to 2/5 and 3/7. All right, for number 7, we are going to solve the equation. When we are looking for the equation, we're looking for the value of x. The value of x subtracted by 15.2, you'll get negative 24.8. So the first thing I usually do is I'm going to separate that equal sign with a line, so I know what's the left side and the right side of the equal sign. So then I'm going to use the inverse operation. Since I'm looking for the value of x, and the value of x right here subtracted with 15.2, so I'm going to use the inverse of subtraction, which is adding that same number to get x by itself. So what I do on one side, I have to do it on the other side. So I'm going to do this one first on the left side of the equation. So negative 15.2 plus 15.2, so they are opposite numbers. So that cancels out. So what's left down here is just the x. So I'll go ahead and put that one here at the bottom to separate my work on the top. And then I'm going to do the math on the right side. So negative 24.8 plus 15.2, if I'm going to put that in my Desmos calculator. So negative 24.8 plus 15.2 plus 15.2, I'll get negative 9.6 for my x. So my x right here is equal to negative 9.6. You can actually check your work by plugging that negative 9.6 minus 15.2 and see if it's negative 24.8. All right, so for number 8, do the same thing. You're solving for the value of x, and this x right here is added by 4.5, so I'm going to do the opposite of positive 4.5 by subtracting 4.5 on each of these equation, on each side of the equation. So this cancels out, so I'm gonna put my x down here to kind of like separate my work on the top. So negative 12.3, if we are gonna do the math, minus 4.5. Let's put that in our Desmos calculator. Negative 12.3, negative 12.3 minus 4.5. It's going to do the answer for you, negative 16.8. So your x right here is actually negative 16.8. Or you can do the math in your head if you have two negatives, okay? You're just going to add them up because same signs, you're going to add and keep. We're not multiplying, we're adding here because you have two negatives. All right, so you can actually check your work again by plugging the value of x back into your equation. If you're taking negative 16.8 plus 4.5, it will give you negative 12.3 if you're going to check your work. All right, for number 9, okay, do the same thing. You're solving for your x right here subtracted by 2.4, so do the opposite by adding 2.4 on both sides of the equation. So this cancels out. I'm going to bring my x down here to separate my work on the very top. So I'm going to put this in the Desmos calculator. Okay, negative 4 plus 2.4. It gives you negative 1.6 as the answer, negative 1.6. All right, number 10, do the same thing. Your x right here is added by 0.4, so subtract 0.4 on both sides of the equation. So copy down your x right here is equal to negative 17.2. So you can check your work using the Desmos calculator. Plug in negative 16.8 minus 0.4. See if your x is the same answer as mine. Okay, number 11. Okay, you're solving for x again. This time your x is subtracted by 11.5. Do the opposite. So that plus 11.5 on both sides of the equation. This cancels out, okay? So I'm going to copy down my x here to separate my work on the top. And I'm going to plug this one into my Desmos and see what you get. So you have negative 2.4, negative 2.4 plus 11.5. So the answer here is 9.1. So your x right here is 9.1. All right, the last but not the least, you're solving for x again. This time it's added by 7.6, so subtract 7.6 on both sides of the equation. This cancels out. Bring down your x here, and then do this one in your Desmos. So 3.2 minus 7.6, you'll get negative 4.4. Negative 4.4 as the value of your x. All right, everyone, that's the end of it. If you do have any questions, please let me know. All right, bye.